I think it's more focused than anything. I think we have guys right now that are built to be offensive players, whether they're good, average, or great offensive players, that they're built to be that. Now you have to understand, in order for us to have long-term success and a high level of success, everybody has to defend. You have to do your part. Because we've proven that you can score points, but you have to be able to defend in order for us to be successful as a team. I mean, I don't necessarily coach with an iron fist because after a while that wears down. You have to have guys that understand what you're trying to do, the level you're trying to do it at, and make them comprehend the information. Because it's one thing to get a guy to embrace what you're saying is long term, as opposed to a guy doing it because you have your foot on his throat, so to speak. And I think there's a big difference. When guys understand what's at stake and how to watch film, how to study film, then they have long-term success. Then it's passed down because it's a way you do things. I think that's the biggest key, just watching film, making guys understand it. Because you can learn a lot of lessons through watching film.
What do you know about Bobby Crimmins?
I know he's been doing it for a long time, I think over 30-plus years, and had long-term success. Watched his teams a lot when he was at Georgia Tech. Was a big fan of those teams.
You ever gone against him before?
No.
What about playing in that environment on Wednesday night? I know it was maybe a little bit bigger than the Oakland gym, but also not the biggest gym, and kind of a loud, kind of a lot of students kind of on the floor. Do you know much about that environment, or what do you expect?
Well, I heard about it, and I've seen it on TV. For me, it's a fun thing. I look forward to it as a coach, and even as a player, I would look forward to that. But I think it's a matter of our players embracing that opportunity, which is a great atmosphere to be a part of. Exciting times. There's nothing better than shutting up opposing teams with your preparation and your focus, and you do that by playing great defense.
So people talk about kind of the backdrop of a gym, being different in terms of for perimeter shooters and things like that, or just that environment when you play in a building that seats almost 20, and spend a lot of time kind of in the SEC with some of these bigger buildings. Going to a smaller gym like that, is that different for the guys, or when you were at Purdue for so long, was there as a player or a coach, whether instances like that with the gym size kind of mattered?
For me, it did when I was a player. I remember going in Butler, Ball State, and those arenas. I just felt like it was a great atmosphere more than anything. And I guess early in my career I wasn't such a shooter, so it didn't bother me how the backdrop was. But you just look forward to competing at that level in opposing teams' gym and finding ways to get wins. I think that's the most impressive thing for me, is just getting a road win. I've said it before, there's nothing better than getting a win on the road.
Are you getting the production offensively and defensively you'd like out of your bench guys, your guys that come in behind your starting five?
I think they do things in spurts. I mean, we talked about that being consistent on the bench, coming in ready. Now, whether or not they're scoring, that's one thing. Is we can put points on the board as long as they're ready and in tune to what's going on defensively, not turning the ball over. Then I'm fine with that. But we cannot be scoring the ball and breaking down defensively, and that's a problem. I think that's when you have issues. But if they're playing aggressive basketball, they're moving the ball, they're cutting hard, and they're playing well offensively, whether or not they're making and missing shots, but they can't give up anything defensively.
Will you make any changes in your lineup or your rotation?
I don't know. You look at every scenario. I think for us, we have to have a defensive mindset, and I don't know if we necessarily have that right now. I think guys are working toward becoming better defenders. Because once again, it's more than anything, it's just personal pride when you're playing defense and wanting to be a good defender and not thinking that you can outscore the opponents, because we've tried that and it hadn't worked. In order for us to be successful, our team to be successful, we have to defend. But you weigh all your options, and we're definitely looking into it as we speak.
Could you talk about the progress you've seen lately from Kenny Hall?
He's done a really good job. But I think for Kenny, he understands. He wants to be good now. I think more than anything, because I think for any player, and obviously you can ask him more in detail, you have to believe in something before you want to do a full throttle. I think that's with any young man. I think Kenny, going through it now, he sees the results behind his hard work. And that's the bottom line, I think, for him. But he's really bought in. 2 back-to-back double-figure rebounding nights for him, and we expect him to do that consistently. But like I said, the most impressive thing last game, he rebounded the ball offensively. A couple of times on film, they boxed him out. He went and got rebounds, kept the ball high, was able to finish around the basket. So that's a great sign to see that. And he and Jerron are playing well. Now we have to get everybody clicking on all cylinders.
Are there times when you feel like you're not getting the ball inside enough?
I think so at times, but it's a combination of posting strong, wanting the ball. 'Cause I think the one thing we talked to Kenny about, even Jerron, they have to demand the ball in the blocks. And not to say the guards are selfish, but you have to demand the ball in the blocks. But once again, I always go back to the defensive side of the ball. when you demand an offense, you got to give it up on the other side of the ball. 'Cause it's a fair trade-off. So you have to demand a high level of boxing out, rebounding, ball screen defense as well. So we just don't talk about it on one end, it's on both ends of the floor.
Who do you think is closest to getting to that point on defense that you want them to be?
I think our big guys are possibly there right now. They're getting there. Cam Tatum is doing a good job. He's really taking pride in defense. You can see his approach in practice. But once again, it's just a matter of doing it. I never thought defense would be that difficult, really. It's just heart and desire, bottom line. Because you can take the technique out the door. I mean, I'm stopping my guy. I mean, that's what it comes down to. But once again, it's a matter of one to be a good defender. Because it's not difficult. At least I didn't think so.
Who do you think's your best perimeter defender?
Between Cam and Josh. I mean, Josh has to be a great defender, but he's still young, learning and finding his way. But Cam has really stepped up and is taking pride in defending.
Talking to a couple of your guards after the game, it seemed like they were maybe a little bit surprised to know that I think Kenny was 5 of 5 from the floor and Heyman was about 8 for 10 or so from the floor. When that, I know you like looking at defensive stats and other things more like that, but is that a little surprising that the guards maybe didn't understand that, hey, if the guy's not missing, probably need to keep getting the ball?
Well, that's when you consume with success, you would know those things with team success. So now if a guy's open, you feed him, you continue to feed him. But once again, I think on the other side of that, the good thing and the bad thing about Kenny and Jerron, they don't demand the ball. You know, those guys just go about their business. They work hard. They don't make a lot of excuses. They don't complain about it. Like I tell those guys, sometimes you have to sit there and give me the ball. So I think that's a two-way street. It's the guards recognizing, but also those guys demanding the ball.
Coach, not to ask you to make an excuse at all, but just when you get in a tight situation like you were in at the end of the game of the day, I mean, does it show up? You think that you only have one senior that's out there on the floor?
Well, I think more than anything is just you have a team that's going through the fire, so an inexperienced team that's finding their way than anything. Because I think for us as a coach, sometimes we sit there and say, who do we go to? You know, who's feeling good? Who's confident enough to take this shot more than anything, to execute a play? So because I think young guys can make plays. I don't think that's the case at all. I just think it's a matter of these guys playing with each other more than it being youth than anything. But, you know, like I said, as a coach, you try to figure out who's the best guy to put the ball in his hands to try to make a play.